Welcome to a Saturday evening, taking it to the nub. I'm your host, Boston Jimmie, and tonight we are going to have what we would call an ironclad moment. Why is it going to be ironclad? Because tonight I've got Randy Wheeler, the owner of Ironclad Cigars, on, and we're going to talk all about what Ironclad Cigars are all about. We're going to understand how they came to be and what else Randy does besides make cigars. I just recently was hanging out with Randy at the Tobacco Product Association event down in Wellington, Florida last weekend. So we're just going to continue our conversation for everybody here, and we're going to have some fun. So before we do that, let us, as always, give a shout out to our sponsors before we bring Randy in, and then we'll get this show rolling.
Brought to you by Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
Catelli Cigars is back. The past few years brought many questions and changes to the cigar industry. In the wake of all uncertainty, Catelli Cigars decided to take a break and try their hand in the retail side of cigars. With 2 shops under their belt, first Riverside Cigar Bar, and now the Catelli Cigar Lounge in Vero Beach, Florida, they are now more educated in the retail and the wholesale sides of the cigar business. During this time, they received many inquiries about their cigars returning to the market. Making the difficult decision to take a break from their brand was eased, knowing that when the time was right, Catelli would be back, and now they are. Catelli is excited to bring their first release, the Catelli Box Air, back to market. The Box Air, a rich box-pressed San Andreas Mexican Maduro with a Nicaraguan binder and filler, come in Box Air's 3 original sizes, Robusto, Toro, and Gordo. You can check out Catelli Cigars at catellicigars.com. And also check out their Facebook and Instagram pages.
Bring in Randy, and let's get this show rolling. And of course, we're all going to light up, reflect, and write a new chapter in Ironclad Cigars.
That's right.
Sorry, I stole it from you, but I like that.
That's okay.
Welcome to the show, Randy. Thank you for taking out a Saturday evening of your time. I know your wife's out of town, so it's probably a good thing to do anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm bacheloring in it right now. Am I? She's having fun.
There you go. So how you doing, man? I haven't seen you forever.
Yeah, it's been, gosh, I don't know what, 6 days, 7 days, something like
Six
that. A
days, 7 days.
week.
What is seven? We should have just did this number of seconds we haven't
6 days.
seen each other.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
like a
not even
long
been
time
six
now,
days.
right?
Something pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's
we
a lot
got
cooler in
together
here.
at Tobacco Products Association. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your fun at TPA. I thought it was an awesome time getting to know a number of the different member companies, especially
Oh
that
yeah.
I think the member companies might have knew of each other, but maybe haven't seen each other face to face.
So it was good. Um, I knew everybody there except for I haven't met Kevin with Rockefeller. He
Oh,
was
well,
the
okay,
he,
Kevin
he
Schweitzer, yeah.
was a great guy. Loved his cigars. I got a 5 pack of his Lanceros sitting right there. I can see they were nice. Uh man, the whole thing was fun to me. I mean, there were some hiccups because we were supposed to have bigger tents. We were supposed to have the water cooler AC things, outside, not AC, but the water cooler fans, and those folks didn't show up. So
No, but
that
that's
put a hic
okay.
yeah, it put a hiccup in it, but even as hot as it was, uh, I had a blast because for me, I enjoy, and I might have jinxed it because I kind of said I don't even care if nobody shows up. I'm just ready to see all my buddies and have a good time, and that's how I felt going into it.
Overall, I think it was like you said, yeah, you get a hiccup here and there, but it's the first one. And
Mhm.
you're gonna have some lessons learned. Nobody ever does this perfect. I've been to Drew Estate events in the very beginning, and they were like, "Oops,"
Yeah.
they get some feedback, and everything's good. I mean, and what's gonna end up happening, I mean, what one thing we'll know that make sure we could, nail the tent down some way. So when that rain comes,
Hmm.
that squall was a little
That was
bit,
wild.
wasn't that?
That come from behind us, and that was also the reason why it was a little more warmer. I think because the wind just happened to be coming. The building was blocking most because you could walk up on the golf cart path, and it was a lot cooler. But I mean,
Yeah.
overall, I mean it's July in Florida. I had no idea it could be hot in Florida like it is in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, I had no
So,
idea.
so let me rewind the film here. So you've grown up in Texas. You were born and
Hmm.
raised in Texas.
Hmm.
Okay. So and South Texas, North Texas.
East Texas. My whole family's been in Central to East Texas since the Republic. Like I'm seventh generation, like that.
Oh wow.
Been here a
Okay.
long time.
So you get a lot of heat. You get a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
this hot weather, and yeah, we get this from. I'm gonna say it really begins to start in the May time frame. Year to year it might range, but June for sure, July definitely, August, July sucks. September it kind of seems like it wants to cool down, but it still stays up there. And then come October, things cool a little where I am in Central Florida, East Coast. South Florida is still gonna be hot. And then I mean I've had winter where it's on Christmas Day, I had 19 degrees Fahrenheit once.
Oh dang. Is it
We got
different on the East Coast versus the West Coast of Florida as far as heat? I would think it'd
it
be hotter on the West Coast. I'm not sure. I
it's
would think
it
it would
it
be.
it vary. No, no, not a whole lot because both sides you're getting a breeze. I get ocean breeze, they get Gulf breeze,
Right, right.
right? But when you're inland, Orlando, right? Anything that's in the center of the peninsula, it's stagnant. Not getting any winds. It's just the heat pounds down on you, and they get a lot more of the rain too because the two weather systems on east and the west collide over Central Florida in the middle of the afternoon. So anyway, you not affected by any of the floods that you're away
No,
from.
thankfully we're probably 4 or 5 hours from
Oh,
that. That's all going to be kind of west, southwest from here. But yeah, that was bad. I think
very
the last
bad.
I checked, there was over 100, especially because there's a bunch of kids too. But
Bunch of children,
everybody
yeah.
was affected. Even like I was reading an article the other day. You ever heard of Pat Green, a big Texas country artist? His brother, his younger brother, his wife, and his two sons perished. They had one daughter that didn't. Like that's a whole family. And all those kids. But yeah, it was it's just crazy. That weather over there was just when you get it happened in the morning and early morning, and it just from the last thing I heard, it was well over 20 feet. The river rose over 20 feet in less than an hour. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah.
you just can't really get out. And when it's early in the morning, everybody's sleeping. There was no really, they
Well,
just made it tough.
hopefully they can start putting in some more sirens and stuff. And you just have to have something that's going to wake your ass up, like I say, because you can't rely on your phone because your phone battery can die. You got to
Oh,
have your
yeah.
phone on silent. Have it on, does not turn off override. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
I'm sure that
yeah,
the
it
river's
was
dangerous
fun.
when it's not flooded over there. I mean,
All
it
right.
can be, if it's down, it's fine. But if it's got a little bit of flow, I mean, people get hung up in stumps because you got all them them cypress, different kind of trees. But it's still fun to go. It is still fun to go to the river, but it's cold. Even in August, it'll be like 60 degrees or something like that. That's
Oh man, yeah.
why they call
So,
it the Frio River. One of
so seventh generation Texans
them.
takes you back to
Uh,
roughly.
my family came here in 1839 from Tennessee. They moved actually. They come through Natchitoches, Louisiana, through Logansport up in Texas, and then they all kind of spread. They actually stopped in Shelby County, which is up north in center Texas, and they just kind of spread out. Not very far, but just kind of spread out. East Texas, Central Texas, down to Houston, and just where everybody's been for almost 200 years. That's crazy when
Wow,
you think about that.
wow. It is. It is. Like
Mhm.
I always tell folks at the event that I have family up in the Hudson Valley in New York. My mother's side of the family were the first French Huguenots that landed in America back in the 1600s.
Mhm.
And they settled that whole area, the tri-state area where Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey meet, place area called Port Jervis.
Okay.
That landmass up there, they settled that whole area back in the 1600s. And some of them are still up there. It's and you just like you said, you think about these things, you go, wow, man, that's like forever people.
Yeah. I'm a big history. Well, I like history. I'm not like a huge history buff, but I love to dive into history and learn about things, what we did, what we could do better, and so on and so forth. But uh, I even did my family tree, and my wife and I both have mostly Scottish in our blood if you look at your DNA or whatever. But I found out that my wife's seventh great grandfather and my seventh great grandfather both served on the provincial Congress in North Carolina back in the 1700s. I was like,
Wow.
wow.
Is that
Like
fun?
isn't that weird how you find the little tidbits like that, they never would have thought, that would have never been something that would have come up, but that's
No,
pretty
but you
cool.
think about it, there was a whole lot less population
Oh yeah.
than we have today, and it was concentrated in only certain areas at the time. So
Hmm.
who knows? I mean, you're right. It's fun to go back and see all of that, and then even going back over to Europe and seeing if there's. Do you have any connection to any Scottish notable names?
Not that I've researched, you know what I mean? Like I that costs extra. Like when you get
Oh
when you
yeah, yeah. You got to pay a
it costs
little extra.
extra to do for the world, but
Some castle
I'm
over
pretty
there that you don't
yeah.
know about that you can lay claim to.
Oh yeah. But like you said, a lot of my family came over to like most, I guess Wilmington, I think it's Wilmington, North Carolina was a harbor, a main harbor, and you had New York and
Hmm.
a place where people come across. But a lot of my other family, maybe some of my Irish side and something like, and the other parts, there, I have a lot of family up in New Hampshire and stuff like that, but I've never met them. I just know that's where they landed and we got them all over the place. That's what's great though. If you go
Yeah.
back far
Yeah.
enough, we're all related. So,
Yeah, we're probably all related to each other. No, 'cause I know I've got family that goes back to my father's side, that goes back actually to Ireland and obviously Italy. And you, when you think, so Scottish, do you have? when you were younger, were you a Redbeard?
Oh yeah, I thought I would be more Irish because I did my hair. Well, of course, it's looks
Mm.
black, but yeah, I had like everything in my. It was all different colors, black, gray, red, but I had a lot of red sheen to my hair. I have freckles. My mom has freckles, but I'm more of a brown freckle instead of a red freckle, if that makes sense. But my mom was more the red freckle, and she doesn't even hardly have any iris, so I guess that's the Scottish side. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was more red.
You own a kilt?
No, but I tell you what, I think they're bad to the bone, and I can't. I've thought about it I actually have a picture in my house. I thought I had it out here. I was going to show you, but I think it's Make Me Royal or something like that. It's those deals where you can send in your picture and they'll put you whatever, and it's me in a kilt and my wife, standing on the hillside, and I think it looks cool. That's the place. I've never been overseas, and that's the place that I can't wait to go. I want to go
Uh,
see Scotland and
Good
Ireland
for you.
and all of it. I want to, and Ish has got me talked into going to Spain because he's like it's so inexpensive to do it where he wants to do it. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's not
incredible.
all that expensive to go to Ireland either. I mean, I've been there a couple of times and I enjoy Dublin. Love taking it. If you go there the first time, you just take the beautiful trip across down to the Wicklow Mountains, down into Cork, cross over to the Cliffs of Moher, that whole area. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful drive. I mean, it's when they say Ireland is green, they ain't kidding. Okay, it's just rolling green fields and hills, and you just having this casual time driving. Try not to be in a hurry, and you'll just enjoy the crap out of it.
hmm
So,
I want
Ironclad Cigars. Okay, let's dig a little into your brand.
to get deep.
First of all, when did you found this, and how did you come up with the name Ironclad? Why?
So the short story is, uh, I had an ex-partner, and so it's been almost a year ago, about a year, a little over a year ago, we started talking about it. But last September, we went ahead and got our LLC, and we moved right along. Tried, set in for our trademark. And of course, you just don't know what you don't know when you first start off. You just don't know. And of course, along that, what didn't take long for me to figure out, well, we're probably not going to get our trademark and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so we went ahead and launched. We launched actually February 18th as Black Pearl. And
Oh
within,
yeah,
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 yeah. And so, well, you were there well, it was we actually launched, and then on February 18th, and I think it was a few days later, we met at Ish's soft opening.
yeah.
And they were there too. Uh, and then it wasn't very long after that, I got a letter from the trademark office said, "Hey, it's just been denied. You can answer, blah, blah, blah." So my partner and I, we worked it out where, he wanted us to keep it. I didn't. I just couldn't move forward. End of long story. Uh, we agreed for me to just move forward and take it over and buy him out. And so I changed the Ironclad name because I just wanted something more ironclad. That just kind of stuck to me, right? Like, but I also wanted to pay homage to the Black Pearl and the Black Pearl brand and stuff because I was looking at because I love history, so I started looking at Ironclad the ships. I was looking at the Black Pearl, which we had with nautical theme, and I just started thinking, ships, the ironclad ships when they started cladding them with iron and made up. That was basically the start of our modern warships. Like that's
Hmm.
what happened, but I just liked it. I put the shield because I'm in law enforcement. My logo is the shield, and then the sword is the cross for my faith. And then ironclad is just I wanted the name to be a little more ironclad, and that's just kind of where it stuck with me. I couldn't get it out of my head, and so that's how I come up with the name ironclad.
Okay, so the sword represents the faith. I get it,
Hmm?
but after hearing your story, I would also say, man, that just be a Scottish sword.
Yeah, I did think about that. And I tell you what, when we first started looking at when my
But
partner,
I'm beginning to see the design of it. That's a nail or something going in there. Are those
uh
nails
in the sword,
on the cross part?
no, they're not. That's just the style of the sword. But I
Okay.
started looking into going toward my family history in Scotland, but and it led too much toward everything. When you go back to the history of it, it starts going back into slavery and things like that. And I just didn't want to even touch that. You know what I mean? Not that they were part, it just that part of there's history there with that. And I just didn't want to touch that. And I couldn't get away from that. So, I mean, I didn't want to get into that. So I just left it alone. And, of course, when we started Black Pearl, we didn't have a story. We just kind of went with it. Now I have a story why it's ironclad. I have a story why it's ironclad rather. And so, the Banda, the Sulu, and the Celebus originally were trade routes, which is why we came up with Black Pearl. I was more of a historical guy, like I said, and I liked the colonial era, and he was more nautical. And so we looked at trade routes in that time frame from U.S. and UK and all to China, and between Australia and China, if you look down south, there's those seas, the Banda Sea, the Sulu Sea, the Celebes Sea, and many other seas, and those were along the trade routes during that time frame, and that's where we were. And if you look, well, you won't see it on that band, but on the original Black Pearl, it also would say Septem Maria, which is Latin for seven seas, and that's where we were going with that core line. That's what we were going to do with that core line, and then so.
So, the names of the cigars. So that I was going to ask you, Banda, right,
Mhm.
is also a Latin term for like, the outer part of the cigar, right?
Oh, I
But
didn't know that.
yeah, so a Banda, it's the binder, actually,
Okay.
right? Okay. And so these names are these trade route points.
Hmm. Yeah, there's seas along that trade route that they would have had to pass through to get to China for tea and things like that. And then so when we changed it, uh, when I changed the name, I didn't want to change the names of the cigars just to pay homage because they were already out there. And I figured I would tell the story. And then, I have a new cigar going to be coming out. I have a couple other projects, and I didn't know if we were going to get to this, but I'll just go ahead and say it. So the Chow Chow is totally different name, right? Like it's a totally different name than what the Banda and the Sulu and the Celebus are. It's not, it's just called the Chow
Wait,
Chow.
a chow chow, like the
Chow
dog?
Chow. No, well, it's not like the dog, but it's more like Chow Chow. Like you get what do you call it? When you got tomatoes and different things that is Chow Chow,
Oh,
you put it on your beans or something, but it's just a mixture, right? Chow Chow is just a mixture of those things. And so the Chow Chow is essentially my Sulu, but it's a mix filler. It is going to be one of my value lines. So it has the same wrapper, Adipidoc. It has the same binder, the Modafina binder, but the inside is mix filler of the leftover Sulu tobacco. So that hence the Chow Chow. So it's a mixture of those. So and it's really it's really good. I almost like it better than the Sulu sometimes. It's just not as consistent because it's mix filler, but it's really good cigar. I'm happy with it.
so who are you? So where are these being made?
So right now they are at Rodriguez Olivan Cigars Factory. You got to put that S on there. You know how
Oh, yeah.
you want it. It's not a cigar, it's cigar. So that's the way he
Okay.
explained it. So it's down there in Dominican and
Okay.
uh,
So these are coming out of Ish's factory.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's always getting you some so he has his hands always on some fun tobaccos. So
Oh, absolutely.
so why don't you go through? Do you have the cigars in front of you, the different blends?
Oh, yeah, I actually do. Hmm.
Yeah, why don't you pick them up one at a time and just kind of briefly go through um the name and eat what the blends are in each one if you can, or
All right.
what tobaccos are being featured in them.
Well, I'll just start with what we're smoking because you're smoking a box press Banda, but you're smoking the one you have is the band that I had placed on there. That was directly like I was running out of time. I had the Chicago show coming up, and I was getting to buy the. I didn't want to go to Chicago with uh, Black Pearl, and so I bought my partner out, and I had got Ish sent me all these the bands, got it that done, and that was the band I went up there with. And this is going to be the new band for the banda.
Oh, that's pretty bad, man. I like the
And
color.
and it just, it's just a more simple band. But this is the box press. And of course I have one in Toro. So the banda is my Habano. It has a Cuba wrapper, and it has which is hard to get, by the way. I never realized how hard Cuba was to get. There's only a couple. Matter of fact, if you know, my sources say that if people don't already have it or have had it, then they're looking to Ish to buy from him. So that's how hard it is to get. But there's a couple of great cigars that I enjoy that had the Cuba wrapper. Uh, One of those is Family's Skull. I like the skull,
Mm.
and it has a Cuba
Oh, the
wrapper.
family by loyalty.
Mhm. Yeah, I like their
Absolutely.
cigar. And so, but it's going to have Nick Binder. And so the band is going to have 8 total countries. So I've just told you two. So I got the Brazilian and the Nicaraguan. I'll let it out a little bit. I don't talk much about it, but you're going to have some Dominican. Of course, obviously, got Brazilian, Nicaraguan. It's going to have a little bit of the motherland in there. You're going to have there's no Honduran in any of my cigars, but you're going to have uh, probably going to have some Italian, some absolutely going to have some Cameroon in there.
Mm.
Uh, this one has, yeah, this one's going to have some Irish tobacco. This one's going to have 8 countries. I don't want to just kind of tell you everything.
Irish tobacco, man.
Yeah, Irish is going to give you a little strength. You know, the binder is going to give you a little strength, but the wrapper on this, the Cuba wrapper, is going to give you a little spice because it's a, I guess you call it hybrid. It's a Cuban and Brazil hybrid wrapper. And it's
Right.
Cuban, right? So then that's Habano. So it's going to give you a little bit of that spice. Uh, and it's so weird that uh, so my Sulu is only has one less country, right? That's my Maduro. It has one less country than the Banda. The Sulu though is going to be wrapped with Arapiraca wrapper, and it's going to have Modafina binder. So there's your Brazilian. So it's going to have 6 other countries, which is one less than the Banda.
Mm.
And I don't understand how you can put the same tobaccos in a cigar and their taste two totally different. Like they're just so way different, right? Where you
That
place,
Arapiraca wrap, that
yeah,
Arapiraca is a potent flavor.
yeah, I love it. It's a good Maduro wrapper, and it's not, people always. I've had some people say, it don't look like a Maduro. I mean, it's a, you know, I don't want to get into what some, uh,
Let's be real,
yeah,
okay?
you know what some people do
Maduro,
to their cigars,
Maduro doesn't mean dark.
right?
Maduro means ripe.
Yeah, right. And pure,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
It's fermented and cured and it's ripe and it's ready, like a banana,
yep.
Maduro banana, yeah, they are brown, yeah, they get dark, but it truly means ripe.
Yeah, and so I think some people jack with their cigars. I don't want to get into that, but
No.
just to make them pleasant to look at or whatever.
A truly natural Maduro is actually what, I've been educated enough to know that it's actually like a really, really dark tan, okay, to it more or a medium brown, if you will. Yeah, that is what I'm familiar with when people really want to talk about Maduro. When you get into the darker than that, you're getting into what should be called oscuro, right? When it gets
Mhm.
really dark.
And see, these are the same two wrappers,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'll show you that one's a Chow Chow. This is my This is my Chow Chow. This is the one that's same wrapper, same binder, Adipidaca wrapper, Modafina binder. This is my value line. So, and it almost looks like the same cigar except for it's a half inch longer. Uh,
Oh, oh.
but it's but the colors are still there. Now, if you look at my Banda up against this, it's pretty similar, but this one's going it's for me, I can see it has a little tiny bit more of a red tint to it.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? And not all of them are like that. Just depends on where the tobacco, but um now my Celibus, this is what freaks people out. So now I'll compare it to my Sulu. Now, this is my Celibus. Doesn't look much different, does it?
Huh?
Actually, I got a light
Yeah,
blue.
the bottom one's a little darker
Right. This is my
and a little more marbling on the bottom.
this is my Connecticut. US shade Connecticut, and it is dark. It's a lot darker than now some of them are not quite as dark. Some of them are not, it's just when you're I'm just learning in the craft, excuse me, in the craft industry and certain cigars, there's just things that are coming out. I like the look of the natural leaf when it's basic. You're just not going to I'm kind of squirreling on you. A lot of some people will take their cigars, maybe cull them or set them aside and boom, 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 boom. Just put them in the box where they look nice, where they're all kind of equal, right? And you're not going
Yeah,
to look at the different boxes open and see that there's a slight shade difference. I'm not there yet, to where I'm doing that, but I know when you smoke it, my Celibus now, it's a Connecticut. It has a U.S. Connecticut uh, shade wrapper. It's a U.S. Connecticut shade, not a Honduran. There's a little bit of difference there. I think this wrapper is a little more expensive to get. Uh,
absolutely. It's coming
and
out of Connecticut. It is.
yeah, and so it has a Dominican binder. And the one thing I can tell you that's in it, because I don't want to disclose everything, it's a lot of the same old, right? Like it's you're gonna have some VSO 2020, you're gonna have some different things like that. But the one thing that's in that cigar that sets it apart to me and people that smoke it, it's more of a medium minus. It's not a mild uh Connecticut. But it's not full strength. It has full body. Like, I mean, it has some great body to it. And it has a tobacco. Have you ever heard outside of our circle? Have you ever heard of Bruce Lee tobacco?
Oh,
I've tried to Google it. You can't find it. You can't
yeah. The
find
guy. I
it.
bet you're watching a lot of cool videos, though.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to find it. So it is a hybrid wrapper. Obviously it formed in the only person that there's maybe two other people that's heard of it, but Ish has it. It's Bruce Lee. And if you can imagine that tobacco, that's a type of tobacco. That's the name of this tobacco, but they put it in the cigar and it is what gives it that extra little punch, which hence the name Bruce Lee. And it just has this not like it's not it's a Connecticut in every way possible, but I just think it's a phenomenal tasting cigar. And like it's so good to me. Like I love the torpedo. That's the way it actually came. That's the first blend. That's the only one I've never changed. I've never messed with any sizes or anything. It's staying just like it is. And I like it. And I've had a lot at first, some of my friends and some other people when they were smoking, they're like, oh, this ain't your mama's cigar. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but I don't want to leave out the Sisters of the Leaf. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to leave them out because it could be your mama's cigar. Maybe it ain't your daddy's cigar, but it just has
Well,
a
it
really,
could be
it's
the
just
other way around because
right,
I know
right,
some women that'll be like,
right.
"No, that ain't my cigar. That's my
Yeah,
pappy's cigar. This
yeah.
is my cigar. This bold ones."
It's just got that, it's just a good tasting, just enough of everything, especially if you want something just slight more fuller, but not even medium. Like it's just right in there. And it just hits all the right it's so bad I get high on it on my own stuff all the time. That's how bad it is. I have to watch myself.
I can tell you this cigar right now, and this is the first time I've smoked a cigar, everybody. So I've never approached this yet. So we're just getting into it. And the aroma coming off this cigar is not like something I'm familiar with. I'm gonna have to describe it as kind of savory nut, if I can say it that way. There's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
else going
it's
on in
gonna,
this that
yeah, yeah.
I'm
It
just
does have that that
it's
that
just
that nuttiness and that creaminess and that.
like somehow I just want to take this and put it on my steak.
That's good. That's good right
I
there.
mean, it's really, I mean, I'm just sitting here and letting it just burn, and the aroma that's filling the room, it's extremely pleasant.
Nice. Thank you.
But I can't put my finger exactly on what this aroma is. It's a mix of some things, and it's just filling my nostrils beautifully, just sitting here burning.
Yeah, when my partner and so we went when we met Ish, we were going to try to go to the factory, and we didn't get to go to the factory because of the time of year, and so we ended up going to his house, and he got all the tobacco there. He prepped because we had gave him a couple months notice and prepped, and we got there, so we started blending on his back porch, and really the factory would be cool, and I'm going soon because he's going almost once a month, and I'm going soon, and maybe sooner than later, more likely just to go. But it was a great experience on the back because it was more, no, I wouldn't say intimate. It's just one of those things where it's just me ish and there's nothing else around it. Him and I, my partner, and we're smoking those little, what do you call them, caballeros, like one leaf at a time when he introduced it.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
a little
only going
fruitiness.
for two cigars. We were going to look for a Connecticut and we were looking for a Maduro. And the Sulu was the first one that we smoked, golly, for almost 8 hours or 7 hours, and then that was the first day. We had to go eat because it was just getting to me, and before we ever even smoked a whole cigar, and so we the Sulu. Let me back up. So the Sulu was the one that when we come back from eating and we smoked it, and it was in a Toro, which I actually have coming. They should be coming this next week, hopefully. Uh, but Ish, we smoked it. My partner's smoking. I'm sitting in a chair, and Ish is to my right, my partner's to my left, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, I don't want to say anything because it's blowing me away. Like I couldn't believe how good the cigar was, and I don't want to let Ish on. Like I'm trying to play kind of hard ball or whatever, like not to let him know I like it all that much. And I'm looking at my partner. My partner's not saying nothing. My partner had to get up and walk out to the behind Ish's house to the lake. Like it was just, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is that? I mean, I finally had to, and then Ish stood up and he was very serious. And I've never seen him act like this. He just said, I tell you what, I'm trying to do my best Ish impression. I tell you what, you don't take it 15 minutes. I'm going to take it from my brand. That's what he said. And that's the only cigar he said that about.
Wow.
I guess because I don't know, because he was smoking with us and, he was rolling and doing all these little things and rolling these leaves up and telling us about everything. And I guess just the way it come out, I think it was different but it turns out he likes the Banda better than the Sulu. The Banda is a cigar that when it wasn't supposed to be, because the Connecticut, the Celibus was the next one, the next day that we started doing. And we chose those two right off the bat. And he says we had a little time left. He's like, hey, you need to try this one. So we tried this one with the Banda with nothing but a binder. And he rolls it up and he says, just taste this one. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I was like, oh my God, it's so good. Without a wrapper. And I'm like, of course the wrapper's only going to be a little bit of the flavor in that size. So it's like I just couldn't wait to see. And then so we tossed it around and tossed it around, and he sent me some samples with the Cuba wrapper, and I was like, that's it, that's it right there. I mean, it was just it happened really fast. For how we did it, and we didn't we got to experience the somewhat of what you would go through, not quite like what you would have the whole factory experience, but I mean basically we did. We're just in Florida instead of the DR.
Yeah. So the line right now is four cigars: the Sulu, the Chow Chow, the Banda, and Celibus.
So right now it's the three without the Chow Chow. The Chow Chow hasn't been released yet.
Okay.
As far as there's been, I had them there with me this past weekend. Uh, I'm getting them ready to get out. I'm also working on. I have a I have a fall project or closer to Christmas project that I've been working on. I had samples and a couple about a month or so ago, and I don't want to get in too much to that yet. But so I was working on a sample where they're little short cigars, and he uh, didn't have time when he was there. He actually rolled them, and so uh, I tell you this: the new cigars that are coming out, and project I'm working on for toward the end of the year is actually going to only be rolled by him and Oscar, his main person there.
Right.
That's pretty special. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's pretty special. But I have some cigars that I'm working on right now that he's bringing my samples back that grew out of this project. So I can tell you that I'm going to come out, and it's kind of risky, I think. But they taste so good. They're going to be Lonsdale's 42 by 7. And I say risky because you just kind of hard to sell those in a way. Uh
I like a good if it's a good Lonsdale, if it's well. I mean, let's be real. This cigar right here is the only one I try to rent your line. So I can tell you, construction wise, spot on. Flavor, spot on. Aroma, just enticing the crap out of my mind. Okay. So far, I love this cigar. You did an excellent
Thank you.
job. So if you could do a Lonsdale that burns well, all right, and delivers, it's a little longer smoke, but let's be real. Sometimes it's all about sitting down, enjoying
Yeah.
time, quiet. Sometimes you want to be, I like sometimes just being in absolute solitude, just letting my mind roam and think
Hmm.
through things. And that cigar just helps you do that. A little music on, relax. So don't be afraid of the Lonsdale. Even if it
Yeah.
doesn't really sell as quickly as the
Right.
others,
Right.
okay, you'll find consumers that will gravitate to that if they like that. And it might be a slower mover only because of the size, but that
Mhm.
don't get discouraged on that.
I just, I say risky because as far as, Toro's the best size, like, and
Mhm.
and and it kind of for me, I didn't want to jump to different sizes because like on the Sulu, everything was going to be Toro. The three lines were just going to be Toro except for the torpedo. Uh, and then when we ended the day, I went with Robusto on Sulus, and that's what I got. And I haven't released. So there's no Sulu Toros out there, but that's what I have coming. The Bandas, my partner wanted box press, so that's what we went with. We didn't have, but the original blend was Toros, and so obviously I've got the Toros in, and I can't, I can't make a decision. Like I can't say I don't. I like both of them, and
Mhm.
I can't not have them now. So it's like in my head. And same thing so there's going to be the Sulu and Robusto, Sulu and Toro. The band is going to be box press, 6 inch, and the Toro size, and of course the torpedo stays the same. Then I got, so I'm moving kind of fast in a way, but then I think about it. Well, hell, I've already been in business almost a year, so am I really moving fast? Am I just
Well,
I'm planning ahead?
well, let's talk about moving fast. All right. So, um, at this stage in your journey, and it's early, like you said, how many shops are you in?
So I was in one, two, three, four when we released in February, but I've been in limbo for the last almost 3 months, 4 months, because
Yeah,
changing over everything, rebranding,
sure.
and I haven't had a chance to get because to push everything. And like I was telling everybody up there, when I get back to Texas, uh, in the next few weeks, I'm really going to start hitting shops here, and we're getting into his and hers, Carmen Louise. They're going to bring us
Yep.
in.
I'm
Uh,
looking forward to that because they're
in
my
Cocoa
back. They're
Beach.
one of
Yeah.
my
Is it
backyard
Cocoa Beach or
shops.
Cocoa Village?
They're
What?
in Cocoa Village, which is
Okay,
on the
Cocoa Village.
mainland. Yeah.
Yeah. We stopped by there on the way down. Actually,
Isn't that a
last.
beautiful lounge?
Oh, I loved it. The friggin' furniture in that place is outstanding. Like, I couldn't get over the furniture, and because you go into some lounge and you got a couple nice chairs, but every chair is like, I mean, the couch, or what do you call them? Love
Only
seats.
one TV.
Yeah, that's great though.
And he
That's
did that purposefully because he
Mhm.
doesn't want people constantly watching the TV. He has little areas where you can sit with a group and discuss and be away from another group can sit in another area. So he
Mhm.
has good seating areas. It's not a very large shop, but you don't need to. It's a comfortable, like you said, the leather, all the pleated leather. It's just like you just sit in these
Yeah.
chairs and you're like, ah,
I like their decor. I was asking them about the old radios and stuff like that, and I think Carmen was saying maybe one, or maybe it was Louise saying one of the radios up there is actually his grandmother's or something like
hmm
that. So them old kind of transistor or whatever you call them radios. Yeah, I dig that
yep.
kind of stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
It's just clean, and you don't see any of the clutter with. And I think they did that on purpose. If they didn't, if I remember right, where they're not going to have all
No,
the stuff up on the walls with the different brands and stuff like that.
no.
It just has that nice atmosphere.
A very clean
Mhm.
shop. It's his humidor is not ginormous, but he doesn't need it because he and Carmen are um I like what they're doing. They have some bigger lines, but they also have a lot of the small brands, and he understands how important it is to have
Mhm.
quality small brands in there. And he gets people moving into these. Like, he has a lot of DBL because they're good friends with Francisco. And
Dude,
he told me,
those cigars are beautiful. They
you
are
think so?
nice. Oh
Did you
my
smoke
God.
the 12th anniversary?
No, I got the cigar
I've
with
known
the
Francisco now since he started for over 10 years. 12 years I've known him. I've been to his factory numerous times on his tours. I was at his new factory for his 10th anniversary. This man has done an amazing job. And like you say, and they're not expensive. I mean, his 12th
right.
anniversary, $12,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
crazy.
cigar will I don't know. I'm sorry. It's going to blow away everything this year. Anybody who hasn't tried it, and I tell all my brethren in the media, you got to go smoke that cigar. If that's not on your list, you're crazy. You're nuts.
What is the Now, I grabbed at least two. I thought I got
Shango?
That's the one. That's the one,
Yeah.
but I didn't smoke it.
Mm,
Panda, I don't know if you remember meeting Panda at they have the Leaf and Ash podcast. Good friend of mine. He was there in the white shirt. I don't remember if you met him or not, but they come over to the house we were staying at, everybody, and I said, dude, I don't want to do this, but you're probably gonna like this cigar. Because my wife probably smoked the other cigar that I had. But we bought some of Carmen and Louise's cigar. And I remember the Professor specifically. That's the one that I enjoyed, but because they're fresh roll with no band, so I didn't
right.
remember all of them. But I remember the shape of them, and I know he told me what that one was. But yeah, but DBL for the price and the glitter that you get. And I say that in the nicest way. The bands and the
The
stuff that's on the cigar,
boxes.
the boxes, all of that is beautiful.
Yeah. Because
Like that,
he's so vertically integrated
yeah,
now
that
because
helps.
he's got his own fields. He's got obviously his factory and his curing area, and he partnered with one of the best box makers in the Dominican. Is now a partner of his, and they're connected on the property. They share the building, so he's got his box. He's a partner in that. They have shared ownership. So he's got the one of the best box factories on the
It looks
planet
nice, man.
he's part of. So he can keep his prices down by doing that.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it
By the
does.
way, what are these? What are the MSRPs on these?
So the Celibus is going the main or high retail, I guess you could say, is probably around 14 and a quarter. The
When you say high retailer, meaning
I just say that's probably that's what if you go by what am I trying to say? Uh so like they can go up or down either way. But I just say the retail price as far as that's going to
yeah,
be
your suggested retail price
yeah,
without added
yeah,
state
14 and a quarter
taxes,
on the Celibus.
14 and a quarter. Okay.
14 on the Banda and 13.50 on the Robusto.
Okay. You're in the wheelhouse of the
Yeah.
where the average is today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, trying to play around with that to try to, with different bands and different things like that to try to get my cost down so I can pass that on. And like, like you said, with Francisco, when you're vertically integrated, that's the way to go. But that is a lot of work. That's a lot of, I don't want that stress level. You know what I mean? I just want to sell cigars and smoke great
Yeah.
cigars and,
Well, you're still young
oh yeah.
in the business. I've always told new brands, you're gonna start a brand. Your number one goal in your business plan should be in 5 years,
Yeah.
300 shops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you're in 300 shops in 5 years with reorders, you have what I would consider a very successful business. You could
Yeah.
probably put the food on the table and pay the bills
Yeah.
with
That's the
that.
plan. I'm 56 and I got started in the game late, but I have a lot of mentors and I have so many people, you included, just people that I talk to that, just you get advice and you get knowledge and you just pick everybody's brains. And then of course all the brands that are involved and even back to the TPA, all of us that are in the TPA and how that's going to grow and what the TPA brings for people like myself but it just, and of course I do my own research and stuff like that. And I've already made tons of mistakes, but I'm not, hopefully I've learned and not going to make those mistakes again. But you're talking about getting in Carmen's, Hayes Gray, great people, man. Pedro Val
And
and Rui, golly, we all hit it off so great.
well,
Uh,
you are the first of the TPA group, other than some of the ones that are like that I've already had on my show that I've
mhm,
been around, but of the new brands, my goal is over the next couple 2 months is to bring each of you on
sweet.
and introduce the TPA member brands that I met that I think everybody needs to know about. So we're going to
Oh yeah.
feature that for the next few, maybe 2 months probably, and we'll have Hayes Gray on very soon and the rest of them. Um, I love the fact that TPA is designed as an organization with a mission to help each other, to be transparent with each other, to share the knowledge, the lessons learned, and even share like if you're in a shop and somebody and you introduce each other to shops, say, hey, you
Mhm.
like this brand, you ought to check this one out too, because we all respect each other, and this is part of
Oh yeah, it's
alignment.
not even that. Like, I get tired of smoking my cigars. They're good, but I get tired of. I want to smoke. I want this. I love smoking. I can't wait for the next drop for somebody else because I love to taste those. It don't. It's not even something. Oh man, I wish I had that cigar. I'm happy because if it's,
You have to though, because you
yeah.
just need to, you know, you'll smoke it and you'd be like, if it's really good smoke, you'd be like, wow, what the hell? Wow, I set yourself new bars. Now it's going to be hard because this right here has got a really good bar set. I'm telling
Well,
you.
I
So
appreciate that, but there's so many great cigars. Even and I'm always kind of got to give props to everybody. I met so many. I already knew most of those guys this weekend, except for like Kevin. But like I'm excited, to try the one bear, like with Angry Beavers. I mean, that shit, that right there, that's cool.
those I know this guy's not the. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Louis
Bobby.
Lewis is my cabinet guy. He did my kitchen. You've seen the pictures I put up
Mhm.
on my Facebook page of the kitchen he designed for us. Um, okay, he is an amazing craftsman when it comes to that. And when him and it got when he got together to create this Angry Beaver cigar line, you got to admit, and if I was to give an award for the best logo this year, it's Angry
Put it in
Beaver.
your mouth.
I mean, it's and just the slogan, put an angry beaver
Oh
in your
yeah,
mouth. I mean, it's
yeah.
just you can do so much with it. And now he's got the 007 or whatever it is, or the
107.
one oh seven.
We can't say 007.
Yeah, the
I wish I was
107.
over there for the party. Like I'm just too far to come to Florida.
I'm still trying to figure out. I told my wife, I said, he says, come dressed up as some kind of, either the villain or something. And I'm looking at one of the villains, the villain from Moonraker. I
That's
think
the
I
one.
could pull it off.
Wait a minute. Which
No,
one?
no, no,
That's
the guy with the
Yeah,
goatee,
yeah,
the
yeah,
black
yeah.
thing that comes down in front. I think if I got like a wig and had it all cut right and greased
Yeah.
down, I could pull that. I think I could pull that off. I would just take this and dye it black, right? And
Mm-hmm.
have that. And I just need to get like a cape, like a black cape thing that he wears.
Amazon
And
is your friend.
I just, yeah, I've been looking, I only got a couple, I only have 2 weeks to figure it out if I do this, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. You were just actually, when you left, you were in Ybor, right?
Yeah, we stopped in Ybor on the way home.
Was that the first time?
First time, and I wish we had more time because we didn't get there till well, we actually stopped off in Lakeland to see a friend of ours, Hector, at the
I've been,
you just
yeah,
did La Triciadana or La
oh
Trus
my God,
Trus.
is that not
How
a
do you
fun place?
how do you say it?
La
Tradition
Tradition.
Tradition, yeah. La
Tradition.
Tradition. Yeah, I got to meet Lewis and Hector was there and yeah, that's a cool got to meet a bunch of people. Met Monique also out there that
Oh, Mo. Mo
yeah,
hangs out
she's
there.
cool. And when we were talking, and we stayed there probably an hour or so, because we got there about 2:30. We ended up getting to Ybor about 5. We stopped and ate Greek food of all things in Ybor,
Absolutely.
but it was good. And
Good Greek food there.
yeah, and it started pouring rain like
Mm.
bad. And then so by the time we were through eating though, it was over and we went down. I stopped into Long Ash
Okay.
briefly, and then we went down to
You get the La Ferrona.
no, we were actually walking down, and Monique was outside with a friend of hers, Chris, outside of the King Corona, and so
Mhm.
we said, well, we go in there, and it was kind of cool. It was a very cool experience because their humidor, some buddies of mine was telling us about King Corona. So we went in the humidor and was looking around, and my wife was going to smoke a cigar, and so we got some got us each got a cigar, and we walked out, and she goes over and she orders coffee, and so I said, get me one, but I'm not. My wife can drink espresso, 4 shots, and blah blah, but she's and go to sleep. I get jittery.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
I said, give me a coffee, but make it night. So they come out and they bring us this cool looking cup of coffee, and it was so good. And there's this man, and I want to say his name was John or John. I cannot remember his name. He sits down beside my wife, and so my wife is smoked with me off and on like 2 or 3 or 4 years, but not never really kind of got into it until the last 6 months or so. Like she actually can taste things and stuff now, which I love. And so, which her palate, she loves things totally different than I do, but we have that medium that we like. But she's talking to this guy, and basically, so we're sitting there, and he's sitting to the right of her, and she just turns to him after about 20 minutes after we're talking. She says, "What you smoking?" And I was like, "Check this out." And it started their conversation. They talked for 30 minutes. Turns out he's been in the States for 11 years. He's from Cuba. He comes to Ybor specifically in that area right there because it reminds him of home. He said he comes there and drinks the coffee because it's the best Cuban coffee there, and everything reminds him of coffee. And I mean, of home. And I'm like, So this is a Cuban coffee. Like I didn't even know it was really good. Like it was so good. I wish I could have drank more, but I might have been. It helped me for my long ride. So we end up leaving Ybor. It was about 8:39. We had an extra day we could have spent, but I was like, you know what? Let's just get on. You ready to get on the road? So we had 1,001 miles to drive to get home.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I said, let's just
Uh,
drive until we get tired and we'll stop at a rest area. And so that's what we did. But that coffee kept me up till about 1:30. I tell you, it kept me up from about 8:30, 9 o'clock till 1:30 in the morning. So it
Good for
actually
you.
it did help me.
Now, are you considering the Ybor Festival at the end of the year?
I am considering, so my issues, like I told my wife, I said, we went to Chicago 1st of May, and uh that was in we were going to go as Black Pearl, so that was already kind of planned. And then I had some financial challenges, I guess you would say, buying the brand and different things like that and changing everything over. So we end up going up there and then we come we already, and that was on the heels of going to Ish's grand or soft opening. And then it's hard to travel and you're not making, like. And
Oh,
so,
yeah, you gotta,
and so,
well, you
right.
know,
And well, that was where, and so I wanted to go to the August. I just wanted to go to the thing in Jacksonville. Like I want to go everywhere. It was so bad. I even told my wife, I said, man, we might need to move to Florida somewhere, at least up in the panhandle, get kind of halfway to everything. But because I'm 16 hours from West Palm, and you're
well,
already
I tell you,
from
it's
the way.
living here, it's actually it's cigar heaven. Okay, you can't drive, more than about 10 miles without hitting a cigar shop somewhere. Okay, they're everywhere. My Some of my favorite things I like to do is like I love Key West and Florida Keys. I've never been to Florida Keys or Key
Nope.
West. That's a trip you need to take sometime. If you come here and you got a little extra time to do that, just just head down. Like you can go from where Ish is to Key West. You're there in
For like 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that.
5, maybe 5 hours or so. It's a drive all the way to the end. And but man, the drive is magnificent. It is just beautiful to drive, especially if you got a nice sunny day. All right. Key West is just a fun place to just hang. I mean, I wouldn't recommend being there for a whole week because you'll have to check in the detox. But
I've got a cousin that lives there. I need to reach out to her and say, hey, that's kind of
yeah,
wild because she grew up in Washington State. I'm like, you went like completely
you went from
opposite.
one to the other side, right? You went to one of the
Yeah.
highest points other than Alaska to the southernmost
Yeah.
point in the United States. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew somebody that did the same thing. They actually moved from like up there in Seattle, Washington, and they moved out to Florida Keys and Key West. I was like,
But Texas is also, though, and I'm fixing to hit Texas hard. Texas is also pretty big with cigars. You just got to get in
oh,
the right.
Texas is got to be the second largest market.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Atlanta is like a huge cigar market. So if you're gonna set goals, right? Obviously, in your backyard, absolutely try to kill it in Texas. Get the place, get to the underground, the guys at the underground
Is that
in
San Antonio or Dallas?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth. Okay. No, I don't.
Oh, you gotta get
Are those
yourself in.
guys like really veteran law enforcement friendly? Because I think I got a guy up there that was telling me
Yeah,
about that one
They
in
are.
Fort
They are
Worth.
very
Yeah.
much so. And they are also very pro small brands. So like they're a big row house.
Hmm.
Okay. Ohana cigars. Um, a lot of other small brands, Rockefeller's in there. And actually, Kevin can probably give you the introduction better than I can. As much as I know the owners and I've been there numerous times, Kevin Schweitzer can definitely probably give you an introduction if you reach out to him.
Now, does he go by a different name, last name, like Gold or
He
something
goes
like
Kevin Gold because he was a
Kevin
gold
Gold?
trader on Wall Street.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
it is.
his background.
But
Yeah,
it's what is his last name?
Schweitzer.
Schweitzer. Schweitzer.
Yeah, Kevin Schweitzer. And so because what they do every year, they once you get into that shop, they do an event every year called the NFG. NFG stands for No Fucks Given.
Gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha,
And they
gotcha.
bring in all the brands that are there. They have a big festival and it is mobbed with people, okay, that come out to this thing. So that's a good shop. And there's, and like you said, they're everywhere, just like they are here in Florida. So hill your area, man. Get to Austin, Texas. Okay. Austin, big, big stuff. You can go there.
I
So
love Austin.
just get around, try to get your brand known there. And then I would just say focus on Florida or Atlanta. Okay. Florida especially, because Florida is you know, you're not going
Uh,
to get everybody. You can't get everybody. Nobody gets everybody. But there's a lot of shops, and if you come if you want to do Florida, let me know, and I'll start giving you some names of
okay,
um,
appreciate it.
shops that I know um, that might want to be introduced to. Okay, but and if you want, even if you come here, if you come into like Central Florida, let me know because we'll take a road trip.
Nice.
And we'll just go around. I'll hit different shops at you and introduce you to different shop owners.
So
And
yeah, so what I'm looking at, like I was telling my wife is she's not my partner technically, but she's kind of my silent partner. I said, maybe you're gonna have to be a little more silent if you're gonna be a silent partner. But she didn't like that. But I just want to make sure logistically and everything, like that's my main goal is I want to be able to because I feel because I'm art like so I didn't finish this. So Carmen Louise is gonna bring us in. Uh,
yeah,
uh, Hayes Gray. They're going to bring us in their mobile lounge. We're already in Brian, big fellas. You met him out there,
yeah.
big guy. We're already in their mobile lounge, and they got a killer mobile lounge in Illinois, and in that area. And then we're in Toro right now, but we're still in Toro as Black Pearl. But there's
Mm.
very few 3 packs left as far as that, and that's gonna change in the very near future. We're in. I'm in a lounge about 30 minutes from here. I'm fixing to be in a lounge, and they're gonna pick me up. It was supposed to be this month, but I'm waiting on a few things. And in Lufkin, Texas, going to be in Stories. So it's
Good.
it's good. It seems like it's going to happen. Start the momentum's going to start because, like I said, I've been in that limbo kind of. I can't do anything. I can't put out cigars yet, other than going to a couple of these, but that's fixing to change
You got a
drastically.
day job?
I do.
You
It-
still do law enforcement, or
oh
are
yeah.
you
I still I work for a school district and I'm
okay?
the police chief there and so I have that possibly looking at getting into politics as far as running for office for a local position, which might give me a little more free time, but uh and so uh I got I got 2 kids out, well, 3 kids now out of school, one in college. Got one going in to be a senior next year. And actually she's an AAU. They're actually my wife. We got home Tuesday evening. That's why we come back a day early because she had to leave out Thursday morning to go to Pennsylvania. So they flew to Baltimore and had to drive another 2 hours to Mannheim. So they're up there doing their basketball tournament all week. But
Oh, she's in it. She's basketball. Oh,
so
very good.
she's had a lot of colleges reach out to her, and one of them was in I can't remember the name of the college, but it's up there, I think, kind of around that central or that northeast kind of up somewhere, maybe like around uh Cocoa Beach area, up maybe up north, further north, up toward what am I trying to think?
Flagler. There's Flagler. There's
That might be
Stetson.
that. That
There's
might be that.
Stetson. There's Stetson University, which
Might be
is in
Flagler.
DeLand. Flagler College in up near Daytona, St. Augustine.
St.
There's
Augustine. I
another.
want to say it's kind of close to the San Augustine area.
Yeah,
But I think that Flagler might have been the one. But
Flagler.
but I was like, dang, girl, she gonna go to Florida, baby. We might have to move to Florida, just to get over there a little closer. But I like where Rui and them live in Pensacola because that's like if I was to move, that might be uh for me just because of family and everything, because I'm kind of halfway mark. I can get somewhere in 8 hours anywhere I need to be
Yeah.
if I,
Plus,
far.
it's very big
But
military up
yeah.
there. Big military, stuff. So that helps with your brand. Were
But I
you
just want
ex-military too?
no, no, I
No.
didn't. I'm the only one, and I think that's why I got in law enforcement. I'm the only one, me and my brother, are the only ones, like everybody. My real dad was Marines, which that's his plaque that I made for him
Yeah.
during uh, Vietnam. He passed almost 10 years ago. But my stepdad, the one that raised me, he was Army. He was in it. He was in the crap. He's still around, and my grandpa was Navy.
Yeah.
Everybody, all of them were in the service. Everybody, and I was actually going. My cousin and I, of course, he's gone now, but we were going to go to the Navy when we turned 18, and something I can't remember everything the situation at his house and blah blah blah. Anyway, we were going to go, and then it didn't happen. And all my friends were going to Desert Storm, and that was that era,
Oh yeah.
87, 88 era.
That's it. Yeah, I never served, but I designed the weaponry that helped win the Gulf War One.
Nice, nice.
So I
Uh,
had I always have the pleasure of telling people, I'm like, I didn't actually serve, but I designed the shit that they used that that wins wars. You know.
you know,
So my fingerprints are on saving lives. That's all I know.
Yeah, man. I praise anybody that's ever just joining the military is a
Hmm.
brave no matter what you do. I mean, you
Well, it's
don't
a
know
huge
what you're doing.
sacrifice. It's a
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
sacrifice. You
And
know,
so it's
my son's got a friend of his who's um he's a major right now. He just got deployed to South Korea. So I
mm,
got him hooked up with the I got a whole he got over there and he says, Papa Jim, can you is it possible, like, I'll give you my APO address and everything, maybe send some cigars over. I got some guys in my unit that smoke. I said, yeah, but I did one better. I got a hold of Cigars for Warriors. And I
mm,
called up Robert Allen and I gave him the AP. He goes, well, we got you covered, Jim. And hopefully they'll get the
uh,
packages and take some photos, send them back, you know.
yeah, I
So
definitely understand the cigars and the military thing. Like that is it now being a cigar smoker going back, which I wasn't smoking back then, but man, imagine that's that one thing that you get to do that can relax you and maybe remind you of home and chill you out
right.
and kind of get you in the right mindset and just enjoy those cigars. It's
It's better than drinking some Jack Daniels, I'll tell
oh
you
yeah,
what.
oh yeah. And you don't have to ever have smoked cigar, and you don't have to ever smoke cigars again. But just smoking cigars with your brothers and sisters in arms, and just smoking cigars with anybody ever. We
Yeah,
know that we can beat
that's
that
it.
horse to the ground. Smoking a cigar, politics and religion, whatever be damned. When you smoke a cigar, it's going to bring you together, and you're going to actually be able to. They say the cigar and a glass of whiskey can
And
bring peace.
and as much as we like to keep the politics and religion out of it, if you do bring up politics and religion in it, while you're smoking that cigar, you are having civil conversation.
Absolutely.
You can actually solve you can debate in a normal way instead of being behind a keyboard,
Yeah.
get you in a lot of
Face to
trouble.
face. Right. Yeah. Face to face is the biggest. Yeah. Yeah. Cigars are very powerful. People that don't understand uh, what a cigar, it can be any cigar, but then when you smoke a good cigar, it, it, a cigar, you can smoke any cigar, and that cigar might be the best cigar you ever smoked because of the what happened, what transpired while you smoked that
It's
cigar. That's
Yes.
what the key to it is. You know,
And
that's where those memories come from. And then when you taste another cigar, that it just like it gets etched, in my opinion, it gets etched in your brain when you smoke another cigar that reminds you of that cigar in that moment. That cigar becomes part of your great cigars too. You know,
yeah.
it,
Well, I
it,
smoke it sometimes like with the aromas, especially. Sometimes they bring me back to not a cigar smoker time, but for some reason it brings me back to my youth when I was doing so, playing in the street with the kids. There was some aroma, the ice cream truck coming down, getting the Mr.
oh yeah.
Softy ice cream or whatever it is. Suddenly it's like it just all of a sudden your brain just goes click and you go, ah, yeah, it was this.
I'll give you a perfect example. You know, Ish will say he likes to say there's no cinnamon because he doesn't. He mispronounces cinnamon, which I get it. It's not, there's not cinnamon. It's not the flavor. It's ginger. It's whatever is in ginger. That's what you're actually tasting. But what happens to me, I grew up when my mom's still here, thank God. Uh, but in my early childhood, I'm talking 70s, late 70s, uh, I remember her smoking, chewing those little packets of dentine cinnamon. There was cinnamon little dentine gum, and I would chew it. And I remember chewing it. And when I'm chewing it, it was always spicy, and it always spiced up on the tip of my tongue, almost made it kind of raw. And I would do that. And when I smoke a Habano or anything spicy, that's what I say reminds me of cinnamon because it's if that cigar leaves that spicy on the tip of
Right on
my
the tip.
tongue, I get it's specific. It's on the tip. It's not somewhere else. It's on the tip of my tongue, and that's where I say it reminds me of cinnamon. And it's just memories, right? It's just and so if that reminds me of cinnamon, that's what it reminds me of, whether it's ginger or whatever. And a lot of people do. That's what reminds them. Like a lot of people will say it tastes like some kind of fruit when probably the correct answer might be plum, but it can taste like if you got that creamy butter and that I've described it like this
Like an
before.
apple pie, man.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. Like peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream. If I'm
Yeah.
eating that and I'm searching for that perfect bite while I'm eating it, like just enough ice cream, just enough of that melted ice cream and enough of the crust and the peach, and that's like your perfect bite. And when you're smoking a cigar and you start coming across something like that because you're getting that creamy butter, you got that tiny bit of sweet, you're recollecting or you're thinking about that moment or that flavor, and a cigar reminds me of that particular thing a lot because that's something I've enjoyed a lot in my life is cobbler, peach cobbler and ice cream. You know, has to be
Or a
blue
good
balls in Texas.
or a good cherry Garcia.
Anything that
Ever have cherry Garcia ice cream? The from
Ben and
uh,
Jerry's.
Ben and
The
Jerry's. That's my
Jerry's.
favorite in their line, with the chocolate, the dark chocolate, the cherry, and the vanilla ice cream. And when you get all of those pieces together, it's like I want a cigar to taste like
And when
that.
you find, and there are cigars that will remind you of that, and that's where it happens. Like if you're doing it on the retro or whatever, and you're like, and just about the time you taste it, it's gone. Now you're chasing that note in that cigar, and that's what's it.
Yeah.
People when they start smoking cigars, they don't. My wife was one of them. It tastes like tobacco. Yeah, that's what it tastes like to me. But at some point, it all changed for me. I don't taste. It's not just tobacco anymore. I taste things. I taste the notes in cigars, and that's what I. And that's what I'm. That's what interests me to me. I don't use I don't throw the craft word out or the I was talking to somebody about it the other day. I've always been on the fence. I always say mine's a premium cigar brand. But if you had to put me in a category, I would say craft. And I say craft, not, legacy to me means like several generations or whatever, or heritage could be the same thing, or small, medium, large companies, you
Yeah.
could say it like that. But if you're just, to me, if you're describing a craft industry, a craft cigar brand, that I'm expecting that cigar to have different flavors, something that's going to take me on a journey because it's just I equate it to if you ever go to a mom and pop brewery and you're drinking craft beer and their beers are dark or something, and you're going to get all these different flavors versus some major brand
Like drinking
like
a
Budweiser,
Budweiser.
that's just, it's all the same all the time. It's just mass produced. That's more of your, not that it's not good, but it's like, I would say that's more like uh, there are a few exceptions to the way I'm thinking. Like I love the Padron 64. I get nuttiness, I get chocolate, or cocoa. I get those flavors like I expect in a craft blend. But that's, to me, that's kind of where I'm at. In my opinion, may change in a couple months, but that's
Oh,
kind of
well, that's
where
fair.
I'm
That's a
at,
fair, very fair assessment.
That's just, to me, that's what it means. I'm expecting those, and that's what I get when I'm smoking them smaller brands, and that's why I'm so excited when somebody comes out, because I can't wait to taste what theirs is. You know,
Well,
Uh,
and your palate evolves and gets trained. Okay, so when you're first smoking cigars, you may not get anything like you said, but eventually you smoke enough, you're like, you recognize the difference. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna recognize the difference. This cigar taste has a different tobacco taste than this cigar. You begin one, that's the first trigger that hits. And then you start going, wait, what am I tasting differently? And then your mind starts telling you what it is. And then you'll get in, and then you get to the next level, like you say, when you start picking up that cinnamon, because then you get these sensations on your palate. Because remember, the palate's only got like five different
oh yeah,
flavors,
it's
right?
crazy.
That's it. But when they mix them all together, all right, is when you start to get these interesting combinations. And when you start getting to that level, you're like, yeah, now your palate's picking up these different things. Now, don't get me wrong. I smoke a lot of cigars.
Hmm.
I smoke a lot of cigars that people send me that never get reviewed because they just shouldn't be reviewed,
Right?
right?
No, I get it.
But when I put them in, if I take all the cigars, 80% of them fit in a bell curve right here to where they're good cigars. They've got flavor notes. This one tastes very similar to this one, and this one tastes similar to that one, but they're good. Then you got like those 10% on the side that are like, wow,
Yeah.
like the DBL 12 Tabano. It's
Oh yeah.
just mind blowing to say the least, right? And then you got like 10% on the other side that are just like, those are the ones that I'm not even going to talk about because I'll kill the brand. Just leave it alone. You guys got work to do. Go fix these problems and maybe you'll have a better brand. Um, but it takes time. And I've been smoking cigars since 1977.
That's a long time. I was 8 years old.
Long time. Right? And my palate, sometimes I'll sit there and I'll go through moments in a week where I'll be like smoking different cigars, and I'm like going, "Jeez," and I'm saying to myself, "My palate messed up. So I got to cleanse the palate. I got to do this, got to do that." And then all of a sudden, I'll pick up a cigar, and it'll remind me, "No, there's nothing wrong with your palate, Jimmy. It's the cigar isn't really delivering anything special."
You
Like
know,
this cigar has been delivering special.
well, I appreciate that.
Okay.
When we were driving down, we left last Wednesday about 12, and driving down to Florida, and I got me one of them little stinky ashtrays. I wasn't going to smoke in my truck. I usually don't smoke in my vehicle. Uh, but when I got that, I never had a place, they don't come with ashtrays anymore, but I got that little
No.
stinky ashtray with the little cigar holder, and that changed my game for smoking in the truck. And uh, I was able to set it down. If I didn't want to smoke it, I could just set it down and let it rest or whatever and then go out and I could smoke on it later. But every cigar, including mine, I must have went through 5 different cigars. Everything just tastes like burnt tobacco. Same thing on Thursday. And when we stopped into his and hers, I was like, I need to buy something in here that I'm familiar with. And I bought a one of them nice thick Judge. my father's, and because that's something I'm really familiar because my palate's like I'm like, what's going on? I lit that up and it was a good, and the cigar smoked great. There was nothing wrong with the cigar, but it tasted like burnt tobacco to me,
Ooh,
and I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? And I thought about it later. Once we got to the house and settled in, and I got in the pool and had a drink and was able to settle down, all of a sudden my taste buds are back. Like I guess I was so stressed on the way, just the driving stressed me out. I couldn't enjoy the cigar. And I think that's why I don't smoke in my vehicle because I don't typically enjoy the cigar. And it was wild. But on the way back, it was a totally different thing. I enjoyed every cigar I smoked. But I guess when you're just tired and you're not eating right and all of those things, it just
well,
all that
it's
plays
hormones. It's
yeah,
hormones.
something was going on.
When you get stressed out, okay, your hormones mess up your palate. It's not even just cigars, it's food, everything, anything you taste. Now, if you wanna try a little trick sometime, and I tell this to people on different ways of cleansing palates, right? So there's all different methods, from dark chocolate, stuff
Hmm.
like that, lemon water. There's a book written by a guy named Nick Kuchar. Nick Kuchar is the guy that came up with the plastic molds that you see
Okay.
in the factories, right? Instead of the wood molds.
Hmm.
But he also wrote a book on the science of smell and taste and all of that and applies it to cigars. And there's a whole chapter on different ways of cleansing. One of the ways he brought up, and I use this, it's amazing. You take an unsalted saltine cracker. Okay. I know it's an oxymoron, but an unsalted saltine cracker, you put it in your mouth and you let it dissolve. Okay. And then you swallow it. Then you take some filtered water and you just swish it around your mouth and swallow. It, I guess, is the baking soda that's in that. It resets your palate to a 7. It's a neutral palate instantly, instantly.
Yeah, I know a
And
lot
then
of judges do that when they're tasting different foods and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And when you pick up a cigar right after doing that, smoking it, the same cigar, all of a sudden you're like, oh, whoa, flavors start popping on you. You're like, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Because to be real, if you smoke like I could do 4 cigars a day
Yeah.
easily.
That's about
That
what I'm.
fourth cigar, I'm not smoking some of my best cigars at the fourth cigar because it's just why. I just
Yep.
kind of, you know, I find something just for the sake of smoking. So. Let's talk. We're coming up on an hour and a half point, so let's just shift the conversation a little bit to what's behind you.
Okay.
So I mentioned this in pre-show, but we'll talk about it here. So you got some nice fenders in the back there. So you obviously play guitar. Um, what kind of music do you play?
Country, mostly.
Hmm.
I played, that's what I grew up on. Actually, I mean, let me digress. I grew up on Ronnie James Dio and, Dokken and Rad and Def Leppard, all those 80s. Uh, and then I was probably about 16 and I started working in my parents' construction company, and I would be forced to listen in Houston radio. I think it was 100 Kilt. I don't know if it's even still around, but it was just a country station. That's what they listened to, and I had to, we commuted to work about an hour and 40 minutes every day one way, and I was forced to listen to that, and I started getting into Merle Haggard, and it just kind of stuck with me, and but I was like 20, 23, 24 when I picked up music and I started playing guitar. Actually, it's kind of a wild story. My neighbors at the time, my daughter was 6 months old. She was born in '93, and they had uh, a garage band, and so I started playing with them, and none of us were any good, but I kind of went in and started. They had a little old keyboard, and I always felt like I could hear things and play, and so I started trying to play the keyboard, and I was like going, don't. I had no music theory or nothing, no understanding of what I was doing. And that rocked on for about a month. And then the guitar player, the rhythm guitar player, uh, he had to quit the band, and so I joined. I mean, they's like the guy said, "Well, I'll teach you how to play guitar," and I said, "Okay." And so I went and bought $100 guitar at the pawn shop, and I couldn't tell you. It was just a no name. It was black, and I had what they call it. It was a Piazzo pickup. One of them. It was wireless. You could put it in the sound hole, and I think I paid $15 for it at the pawn
Is it an
shop.
acoustic guitar you bought?
Yeah, acoustic.
Yeah,
And
I had.
I, uh, I shit you not, within 2 weeks, he showed me all the major. I could make all the main chords and I could bar chord them, all the seven different chords. And within 2 weeks, I learned that. And within a month, we played our first gig. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I remember being up and Sammy Cobb was a guy that was big around. He played a lot of gigs around here at the time where I was grew up, and I remember him being there one night, and I'm up front. I'm the front man, and I'm sitting there and I'm wanging. I had no rhythm. I could play the chords and change the chords, but I had no rhythm, and I didn't sing. And I had my head down like this. It was a place called Little Sisters, and it was a club not too far from here. And that was the first gig I ever played, and I was like, I got $50. Like, what? I can make money doing this? And so that's kind of what started it off, man. And within about 6 7 months, we played a couple VFW gigs, but I'll never forget we played about 8 9 months after that we played I'd learned about four songs to sing, and one of them was I remember the song was "If I Leave Here Tomorrow." What did it turn? What's
Yeah,
it? What am I? Everybody says it.
Leonard Skinner,
Leonard Skinner, but what's the song? Freebird. And so
Freebird, Freebird.
so I was like, everybody always says it, so everybody wants to hear it. So I learned that song, and we played a gig called Mike's Bar. It's not even there anymore. It burnt down. But the guy come to me. I didn't book or anything, and he said this. We were booked for 2 nights. This like horror story. We were booked for Friday and Saturday night. Friday we
There's a
get done.
movie plot here
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, absolutely. We get
This is
done.
one of these places where they throw the bottles at the
It
cage.
wasn't that bad. I never ever played in one of those, but it's a wonder we didn't need it. But so he comes at the end of the night. He died a while back, but he comes and gets me, and he pulls me into their beer cooler room, and he's paying me the money. I didn't book it, but he's paying me the money. He says, "Guys," said, "y'all got to pack up, bro." He says, "That's terrible." I said, I understand. He said but he looked at me, and that was like the defining moment for me. He said, "But I tell you what, Randy," he said, "you got something. You need to keep going. Y'all can't play here, but you need to keep going." And that was the thing, because I've always been my own worst critic, and that was the thing I think that always kept me going. And that would have been in '93, and I played until 2012. I mean, I would play with bands, and I got my own equipment over time, and I became the band leader in the band. I became the lead singer and the front man, and I had a lot of fun times, and played with a lot of great musicians, and even got to the point where I think I told you pre-show where, I've got some friends, Josh Ward, who is actually still out doing his thing, and he's doing great. He's played the Opry a couple times, and he's just doing really good. Got him Jody Booth, Jason Allen. There's a whole bunch of people around that time that a lot of the guys that I know are still playing, but they're just. But you get to a point where you have to make a decision.
Yeah,
You weren't going to get anywhere playing cover tunes. You had to write your own music. So, and a lot of my friends, that's what they were doing, and that's what gets them over. But you come to a point where you're a weekend warrior. You got that day gig, and you're constantly rehearsing all the time. And I played for 3 years with a total of probably 6 weekends off. Like, we played everywhere, and you meet a lot of people, you open up for a lot of people. Opened up for Gary Stewart one time, if you know who he is, and he didn't show up. He was from Florida. He was drunk in his hotel room at that time in Florida, and we were in Texas. But got to meet a lot of people, and but you get to that point where, like I was saying, you got to make a decision. You're either going to do it full time and go for it, or you just. And I was there. I was like, you know what? I enjoy it, but it does get it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and and
You ever
sometimes I miss
play
it.
Folsom City Blues
Uh, yeah, I played. You said the song or
song?
yeah,
Is that song like when my kids, both my kids actually spent time in Nashville, either on work or college.
hmm
And I would always go up to Nashville to visit, and you go walk down Broadway, you go to all these bars, and the fun thing about Nashville is it's got like some of the best music in the country because all the guys that are in these bands are all studio musicians. You hear them play on songs you don't even know it. All right, they're playing on other people's albums, and so they're like that's like practice for them.
oh yeah,
They just go out and just play. But every single band in every single place, a country band or blues band or whatever, if they have to play at least Folsom City Blues in that set. Okay, that's the one Johnny Cash song that is revered in that town. It was amazing because every time you go, sooner or later, they're playing Folsom City Blues. That's it. If you don't play that, you ain't welcome. You got to play that song.
oh you can hear that.
Yeah, probably not hearing that because you got filter on the. Yeah, you can't hear it. It's the worst part of Zoom is
Yeah,
that
oh
you
shit,
it doesn't
yeah,
pick up. I tried to do that with my bass one time on the mic, and it just doesn't pick it up. It's like God, I hate that.
yeah, it is different with the way all the because it doesn't pick up the background noise.
No.
But that guitar right there, I
Hmm.
bought that in 1997, brand new. And I bought that guitar at Guitar Center for $500.
There you
Brand new.
go.
American Standard Telecaster. I've done a little bit of stuff. It's got a center pickup in it now, but you can't buy that guitar, just the standard guitar, which is what this one is. This is that version, but this is a 2000, probably uh 19 or somewhere in there. I probably had it 5 or 6 years, and it jumped from $500 to $1,800. So the thing about instruments, if anybody's interested, if you buy instruments, that's a great investment because
Yeah.
they're going to hold and go up in value. They're just, as long as they're in good. The one I just picked up is a Taylor, and then I've got a Martin. That right
My
there,
son just
Martin,
my son for Christmas, his wife bought him a Martin acoustic, and
good guitars, man.
I was up in New York early in the year, and he showed it to me. And he was playing it, and man, what I mean, oh my God, that was a very expensive acoustic guitar,
hmm
and the tone on that is so beautiful, man. He's got 12 strings, and he's got electric violins.
Oh
He
yeah.
has a whole collection of guitars and instruments that he plays. He picked up saxophone and started playing sax, you know, and he's a scientist, but that
Well, all
for
the instruments are like anything else. They all got their, their budget lines and things like that. This is a lower end. This is a D18 Martin. It's electric acoustic, but it's on the
Mm,
lower end and it's
yeah.
3,300. You know what I mean? Like to get a decent one, you're going to pay, and then they go way up from there. But the thing is I could sell it at any point for what I paid for it, but or more,
Yeah, no, they're not
and
losing value.
oh yeah,
No,
a
they're
game.
not
But
losing.
there's no way I will ever sell that. That's 90. What is that? Almost 30 years I've had it. I can't
That's
believe
why,
I.
like this one
Oh
here, I picked up, like I said, and
oh,
I picked
yeah,
this up in 77.
that's
And I mean,
years
look at the patina on that.
almost.
I had to redo the electronics when I took the plate off. All right. The color of this, I forgot the color of this guitar because when you take the plate off, it's it's the white that's on the top here. It's a
Oh yeah.
white body, a
Oh,
beautiful white body, and it is now
it's
just
not white
golden
anymore.
color now. It's just been around forever. And I paid like $75 for this.
How long
Guy
have
was
you
showing
had
me.
it? How long have you had it?
I've had it since 77.
Oh, you've had it almost since it was
I've
new.
had it since pretty much new. And I've I'm a terrible I have no rhythm. My wife laughs at me. I can't dance, I can't sing. And when I play, like if I get I try to do tablature stuff and I get some things, but my fingers and my fingers on the button, they're not working together. All right. That's my biggest problem. And for some
It
reason,
takes a lot of
I
dedication
don't hit
to
the
really
fret
do it.
the right way.
Yeah.
But but there are some things I do, like I'll get into a riff. I like to play a lot of blues, right? So I'll get into like
Blues
a
is
riff,
nice. Yeah.
and you'll appreciate this as a guitar player. One day I was playing this call, can't get that word
Guitar.
out, playing this guitar, and I was just got into this riff, right? And all of a sudden, I just started doing things, and it was all connecting. God damn it, if it wasn't better than an orgasm, I'm gonna tell you what, man, when it all hits, you're just like the tingle that goes through your
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
you're just like, ooh. And then I try to repeat it. It's like, where the hell was I?
Yeah. It's just, yeah, I've had, I struggle with lead guitar and I played them for a while. I played in my church group, but I started a guy that played with me for years. He said, you just got to keep playing and you just got to remember that little box, like them four little,
Yep.
and if you just stay in there, all of a sudden it's like this code. You're like Rain Man. All of a sudden you just understand it,
Yes.
and it just, but to get good, them guys that are really, really good, that's all they do all the time, every day. You got at least 30 minutes a day to
Yeah.
really be good. And it's just
You have
muscle
to
memory.
practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice. And my younger brother, he's played guitar since he was like 13 years old. And when he went to an instructor to teach him a little bit. And when he was like 15, the instructor said, here's what you got to do. I'm going to give you two important tips. When you're walking to school and there's a brick building, take your fret fingers and run those
Mm.
fingers along the brick.
Try to
Just
get them
run
calluses.
and tear them up. Tear them up. They're going to hurt. Tear them up. He says, trust me, tear them up. Get them calloused. Get those fingers rock. I mean, he used to be able to put cigarettes out in the tips
Oh
of his
yeah.
fingers, right? And he said, the second thing to do when you go to sleep at night, he says, go get yourself a sleeve of golf balls and put the golf balls between your fingers and
Oh, to
tape it up
stretch
and go
them.
to sleep at night.
Interesting.
And every night, as you do this over time, keep pressing them down and pressing them down, and it'll spread your fingers out, and then you'll get all the action you need.
Yep.
And that's what he did. And he got really
That's
good. I mean,
crazy.
he was actually he was on Long Island, and he had a couple of bands that uh, they they were close to getting into the big shows. They would be like on a billboard of a bar where there was like four bands. They were like number three or number two. They might have been a warm-up band for the main act. Okay. And the only problem he had was that the singer was this small Jewish friend of his that had that nasal sound in his voice. And he couldn't hit certain notes, and it got monotonous to listen to him. And I kept saying to him, I said, I love you, guy Dave, man, but if you get a better singer, you got the music. And they did all originals. These are all original songs they did, right? So they were writing their own songs, and they were doing amazing.
Dang.
And he had a following, he had groupies and shit. And he had, that he hit that mark. But now he's like you. He plays in his church band and he has
We
fun. He's got a whole studio in his house. And
Well, that's where all the podcast stuff came from, was the
Mhm.
music stuff that I have left over during COVID. When COVID started, I was like, I got this stuff. I'm gonna try to do something, and I did that during COVID for a little while with a friend of mine, but we weren't doing live, and then I shut it down until about a year and a half ago. But what was I fixing to say? I was going to tell you. Oh, dang it! You brought up something. I know that. Oh, it was so one. There was two things. John Garofalo with Inevis to Back. I didn't realize he that. Have you listened to any stuff? He's pretty damn good. I dig
Yes,
that
he
stuff.
is.
He got the
Yeah, yes, sir.
countryside. He got that Bono side thing going on. That's pretty cool. If I ever make it up there, because I've talked to him several times on the phone. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I said, man, I'm gonna have to check you out. But so not Lou, Bobby, we were on TPA meeting last
Hmm.
Wednesday, and he's like, "Bro, we need to do like a TP." He was putting it out there, like, we need to get, maybe we might start doing like a TPA band and everybody start doing it on Zooms, like, cause he plays bass or something. He's like,
Yeah.
Aldi's a drummer and I forget who else plays whatever. And then it's like, well, Randy, oh, that's the other part of it. Randy plays guitar and stuff. And so we was just all talking about that. But like, so I was like, dang, that might be kind of cool. I said, but I play country. I can play stuff and I can get it. I love all music. I'm not
If you
opposed to
play
playing anything.
country,
Oh yeah.
you could pretty much play classic rock and
Oh
blues
yeah.
if you could
Oh
play
yeah.
country because they're
Yeah.
kind of connected together at the hip.
Well,
You
our
know,
motto when I played was Haggard to Hendrix. That's what we played, anything in between. I mean, we tried to play. I had a lot of guitar players. Most guitar players I had they come from that genre and played country as well. But that at Ish's soft opening, he called me up to the state, up to there to play on those guitars. I like, that's one thing you don't do to me. You don't put me on the spot. And you especially don't put me on the spot when there's a 7 string guitar or there's a 6 string guitar when two of the strings are broke. Like, I can't play that stuff. I,
well, all I can say is if you're gonna do that, you gotta write some songs about cigars that you don't, you're gonna lose your boxes, you're gonna lose your cigars, you're gonna lose your lighters instead of your
I've really
girlfriend
been I've
and
really
your
been
dog.
thinking about that. Like, my brain has went toward that, just for something fun. Uh, I wrote some stuff using Chat GPT too, but kind of changing the words, trying to make stuff, trying to make funny stuff up. But yeah,
Just go
I've
get
got some
yourself.
songs. But
If the TPA wants to do that, what I would recommend, which I think would be funny as shit, is just everybody have guitar box guitars.
oh yeah,
All right. It's a guitar box band singing songs about cigars. And write some
that'd be
songs
cool.
about cigars and cigar life and the whole of that and tie it together. And it would be like so much fun. You could show up at an event and just start like, okay, I'm gonna break out the cigar box guitars, and you get one of those little bang boxes. Because
Hey,
my
I've
my son, my son had a friend of his in high school, and he had his band, and he was a drummer, and he's such a good drummer. He actually teaches percussion at UCF in Orlando. So when we did my son's 30th birthday party years ago, we had him at the house, and I got the band together. Right, I brought the boys back, and he couldn't bring his whole drum kit, so he brought that box. And what you heard playing at Issues, this kid, when I not a kid anymore, right? He he can make that sound like a full up drum kit.
oh wow.
It was unbelievable what he was doing with that box. It wasn't just like boom, boom, boom. And he was getting all the different drum notes out of this box. I'm like, how do you do that? Right? But he's a very talented individual. And,
When I went to Chicago in May, it was the first weekend of May, and Big Fellas was up there. That's where I met Brian and Mike, his brother, and they have a 4 string cigar box guitar in there, and they have a little. And I was trying to play it. I've never tried to play one before, but I kind of understand tuning, and I was trying to tune it, and I was messing around with a little bit. But what happens is I'm so used to a 6 string, and my fingers just don't. And I was trying to go up, but I didn't have it tuned right. But I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to get one just so I can practice on it because I know I can figure it out in here in 30 minutes. I'd be jamming on it, but I couldn't do it there in front of everybody. And but anyway, yeah, it would be cool because it was a lot of fun, man. And
yourself a washboard. Somebody have a
oh
washboard.
yeah, just and spoons or
Let's
you,
do some
what
spoons.
did you go inside the lounge when what's the what I don't even know their names.
Oh, the three
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, they were pretty cool.
That
Especially when they do Hotel California in Spanish.
yeah. But
That's mind blowing.
that whole just I would rather that inside the lounge when they're just sitting there was so much cooler. I mean, they did great outside,
Yeah.
but it was so much more intimate,
Well, it's
I guess
intimate.
the
It's
word.
much more intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just you're just more into it because you're not out there, there are ways over here playing and you're not because it's like a concert or anything, And that's hard to do. I've done a lot of gigs like that where we showed up to play and everybody's into their own game. I mean, their own thing or whatever they're doing, you know that. But when you play for somebody, it's hard, like if you're in a bar, typically you're singing to the dancers, you're singing to the crowd, uh,
Right.
and you get that kind of that feedback because you get feedback from the crowd. The energy that's coming back and forth is what does it. And that's why
That's
it's so
correct.
much better inside the lounge atmosphere like that versus outside, unless they're sitting up in front of you and you're there like if everybody's there just smoking cigars and drinking their wine or whatever, and they're there to watch them, that show would be totally different than them being off to like
Sure.
it was it was more it was different at the soft opening because they were the way they were set up and everybody was kind of around them and it
Yeah.
was more in what is it everybody's more into it or more involved or whatever I'm trying to say versus they were kind of set off to the side, and but yeah, it was the whole thing. It was so much better, and by Sunday I think I couldn't the heat had already gotten to me and I
Oh,
was and
yeah.
then the AC everything that could go wrong went wrong at that event as far as the not the right tents, not the AC outside, and it's just not having the AC in the lounge because of that was a week they just anyway, but it
Yeah,
still
yeah,
I wouldn't
but
change it.
you can't, it's like even doing live stuff, it's like things happen, and you just got to roll. You got to roll with the punches and take the good with the bad, and at the end, you'll know like, okay, the next time, do you do it in July? Do you do it in
Mhm.
in October in Florida? October
Yeah,
in
it won't
Florida,
happen in
beautiful
July
freaking
again. But I think it was just because it wasn't any one person that
no.
made that decision. It was all of us on the Zoom because
Mhm.
we meet every Wednesday, and it was everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. And so nobody there's no blame to go around. It's
No,
just
no, but
it
and
just
there's nothing to
happens.
blame.
Right.
It was for what it was. It was a wonderful event. Okay, we're all smoking cigars. We're all getting together. We're all having conversation. We're all learning about each other, talking to each other. It was a really fun moment, and I want to see it grow. I want to see that whole organization grow because I appreciate the mission that they're doing. I think there needs to continue to grow the membership into it with people joining, understanding that number one mission. And if they're
Mhm.
all on board with that, it's just going to grow and grow, especially for these small craft cigar
Right.
companies. It's important to have that kind of representation and notability over time. I just want to see more. I want to see more of the media covering this. There's sometimes my brother in the media are slow to come to the trigger on this. I could tell you so many times I've come up with cigars that nobody heard of. Because
Hmm.
I was the guy when I started, I was the guy that focused on small brands. That was me. Everybody else was doing the big brands. I said, I'm going to focus on these small guys who don't have a platform. They have nobody talking about them. So I gave them a platform, and I would do reviews on these cigars and nobody ever heard of. And all of a sudden, a year later or 2 years later, suddenly these other guys now picking up these brands, talking about them. Shops are beginning to take notice of it. There was a brand, I won't mention it, all right, that I was all about. And I kept telling shops, bring this brand in. You're going to do well with this brand. Trust me, these are good line of cigars, right? Blah, blah. Room, but you know what? Now they have. And I'm like, you waited 4 years to bring that in?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Why?
let me flip this on you a little bit. Let me be the interviewer for a minute. So how long have you been doing this?
Since 2012, 13. So
That's
12
a long
years.
time. And
Yes, it
you've
is.
seen a lot and
I'm kind of an OG. Not when like Cigar Coupe came out maybe a year before me
Mhm.
and whatever, but a lot of these other guys came out after me, and there's a whole bunch more now. They've come and gone, by the way. I've seen
Right.
people get into the side of the business and they don't realize the amount of time it takes to do what we do, staying on top of the news, putting out cigar reviews as regularly as possible, doing shows. I mean, I've only been doing the show. This is our sixth season, but 6 years of doing this.
Hmm.
Okay.
But you've
Yeah, I
been
spent
smoking,
my
you said
time.
what, since the 70s or
I've
something
been
like that?
smoking since actually I had, believe it or not, since you flipped the interview, I'll give you a little insight. So back in the 90s, I had a friend of mine, fellow engineer, the two of us, we would smoke cigars and we'd always go to the local cigar shop at lunchtime, pick up a cigar, smoke the cigar, and then go back to work. And we decided that we're going to create a print magazine because the internet was still young. We didn't do anything with that, so we decided to create this thing called Central Florida Cigar Smoke Magazine. Right after Aficionado came out,
So
all
in the
right,
90s, right?
we were going to do Central Florida Cigar Smoke Magazine, and it was going to be a regional magazine. It's a free magazine. And back then you could smoke everywhere. You could smoke at I would sit at the Chili's bar, smoking a cigar, drinking a margarita, right? So the distribution model was simple. It was going to be placed everywhere where there are cigars. I drove around, we drove around all over these places in Central Florida, from Orlando all the way up to Daytona, all the way down to Vero. And we were like finding all these cool places, and we're like, hey, you know what? This is great. We'll be able to have this tremendous distribution of this magazine. We wrote some sample articles. We had a beautiful advertising portfolio that I got professionally printed at a print shop.
Nice.
Um, but we failed in one thing: sales. We were terrible salesmen, right? People would ask us, who are you and why would I advertise? Well, and we tell them the business model, what we're doing. And they're like going, we couldn't sell ads. And if you don't have ads, you can't do print
Yeah.
because you got to pay
Money.
the printer,
Yeah.
right? All right. And you're a nobody, right? So you didn't have a name. So the whole project failed. And then over time, I always said to myself, I just really want to do this. So in 2012, my wife had a marketing company and she was starting to do some website development. And she says, why don't you just create a website? And I was like, well, that's a genius idea. So we come up with a name. Back then, the original name was spacecoastcigars.com. Okay. Because I live on the Space Coast.
Okay.
So we set up this thing. We create this website. I start putting out reviews. These little companies start latching on to me, finding it. They start sending me some samples to review. So, hey, this is good. I'm calling my buddy up. I said, you want to be involved? He goes, I'm too busy. Besides, I only smoke Cubans. I said, get the fuck in, right? And we went back and forth about 3, 4 times, and I started growing. And then what happened was, it was about 4 months into this. Okay. I ended up taking an assignment in Detroit, in Dearborn, for like 4 months, in the dead of winter, the worst winter. That had like 96 inches of snow that year.
In
And I grew
Florida?
up in, no, Detroit.
Oh, okay.
So I moved. So my wife, my dog, and me, we drive up to Detroit, and we're staying in a Town Place Suites in Dearborn, Michigan. You can't smoke inside. And I'm sitting there, and I would go outside at night after work, and I would sit on a bench in the freezing cold, bundled up, trying to do cigar reviews. And I'm like, this sucks. I got to find a place. So I start to search, and I find this shop in Dearborn, Michigan. The shop's name is Diego Cigars. All right. So I go over there on a Saturday afternoon. I walk in, I have a Red Sox hat on. And as I walk in, there's this 6'8" guy there, big young man, right? He's got a Detroit hat on, and he looks at me, he goes, you can leave with the hat, because of the hat. He's breaking my balls. So I said, okay, I like this guy already. So he ends up being, and you might know this gentleman's name, Ryan Gallimore.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Ryan Gallimore, he had his own line of cigars years ago called Swinger Cigars, all golf related.
Okay.
He ended up folding that when the FDA shit came out because he couldn't deal with it. He ended up getting a job with Drew Estate. He's the one that ran the whole Drew Estate 25. He did all the swag for the 25 event. Okay. Anyway, he and I sit down, we start talking, and he goes, He sees what I'm doing. He goes, "Why are you doing some regional website? You travel all over the world on business. You know people everywhere. Why don't, it's a worldwide web, Jimmy." And I'm like, "God damn it, you're right." So I look at my wife's, and oh, by the way, he needed a website for his cigars. So she gets the job to do his website. And then I call her back and I said, "Look, you know that stuff we just did? We went through all of these domains and we came up with stogiepress.com was available." I said, "Give me that. I
I
get
love
that for
Stogie Press.
$7.95. Tell my wife, I said, now move all that stuff, and it wasn't a lot, move it all over to stogiepress.com and we launch it." He then tells me, because this guy's like, at that time, he was like, he's the same age as my son, so 36. So what, 12 years ago, 25, he's 25 years old, right? Young guy. He knows everybody in the industry because he manages this shop. He knows all of these cats. And he goes, "Well, now that you're cigar media, you can go to the trade show." And I said, "Well, how the hell do I do that?" And he goes, "Yeah, just go in here." He shows me, go in, IPC, PCR, bump, 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 bump. And then you just pay your dues. At that time, it was $350. I said, "Okay, 350. I'm in." He goes, "Now that you're a member of the IPC, PCR, you can go to the trade show. And when you go to Vegas, I'll be there and I'll walk you around." So we go to Vegas, my wife and I, and he meets us, and he took me to all the booths and introduced me as like his best friend, blah blah. And this is what Jimmy's doing, and I got so much traction out of that. It was unbelievable. He is effectively my adoptive son. I look at him as my now he owns a distribution center over in Clearwater. Okay, huge distribution center, and he's competing. His only competition is Myers and Dutch and Phillips and King, and he is killing it right now for what he's doing.
Nice.
And just an amazing person that knows everybody and everyone in this industry. And he got me involved in it single-handedly. So without him, there'd been no Stogie Press.
No,
And
I love Stogie Press. I followed, of course, in my early journey, as far as I would say early journey, I would say like when I really started getting serious about 3 years ago, you start looking at stuff and your name come up a lot. And I watched you and of course friended you a long time ago on Facebook way before we ever met. But
Mhm.
but you've been smoking since 70s or whatever. And you saw the boom in the 90s, right? Was that the
Yeah.
first boom? Was that like the first cigar boom?
That was really the big boom. I mean, if you go back in the day, what happened was so when the true premium cigar market really kicked in when when Henke Kellner, he created the premium cigar market, right? And that was a big thing. And then the 90s came and you started to see more brands. And my father came out at that time. So there was a big boom then. All right. So I saw, because remember when I said I was smoking cigars in the 70s, I'm talking like things like Garcia Vega,
Oh yeah, I've
talking,
never heard of them.
the drugstore cigars,
Oh
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
five
like
packs, the
Swishers and
green,
stuff.
not Swisher, okay, but
Just a grade above.
the green shit, okay, because my
Oh,
my
gotcha.
father-in-law, okay, who managed the school bookstore that I was in, and I was dating his daughter at the time. I would always hang out at the house. He smoked these things, these guinea stinkers and stuff,
But
and
back then,
I
was
would.
that like what was available, right? Like, is that kind of
That
what
was
was
yeah,
just really what was
or
available?
if you actually knew somebody who knew somebody, maybe you get Cubans, right?
Right.
But the 90s really kicked off. And there were some other ones. Punch was around at the time. I remember smoking my first really amazing cigar. A vendor gave me and a friend of mine a um, a punch double punch. It was like a big double Corona, man. It was huge, nice, long, so like 2.5 hours smoke. And we smoked that on a ride from one side of Massachusetts back to Boston. And my head was like, okay, we're gonna go find cigars now. And we started getting more into the shops and stuff. I mean, I ventured into shops, but I didn't really get into it so deeply until like 91. All right. And then I was really into it. Right. Once I got into the game and I just went crazy. And when in the 90s started to give you a whole variety at that point, because now you have all these new brands coming out. You're like, yeah, now this is it. And it was very, very popular. All right. And you smoking cigars, it was, hey, you're okay, and then it kind of teetered off and then it picked back up again. And then when the pandemic hit, it just exploded, right? Because people were sitting at home, working from home, smoking cigars, getting on Zoom calls. Then Zoom hit. Everybody's on early Zoom channels and chats, and their friends were on, and their friends didn't smoke cigars, but certainly they're smoking cigars, right? So
Well,
the
that's what I'm.
journey in this industry has been phenomenal. It's never really got killed. Everybody's tried to kill this in every which way possible, but no, we 300 something million cigars a year. Come on, with this.
Well, that's what I'm kind of. That's why I'm glad I'm picking your brain because so you went through that first or the boom in the '90s, which I guess, from the way I understand, is like the first real boom, right? Like when cigars really, so many new brands come in. When do you think, say before the pandemic, do you think brands, and I'm talking, let's say, let's classify them as craft blends because I have a question that I'm building up to. So craft blends are coming in. When do you think that you tried, like, if you can remember, like your first, what would be like from my description of what I think a craft blend is, something that really is just, and so here's a, and then let me put a
Well,
side note
well,
because I think,
let's put
go
it.
ahead.
Let's keep it simple, right? When my father cigars came out, that was a craft blend. That
Now
was
craft
in
blend because they're blending different, like they're
No,
blend.
because they were young, new, and fresh. I mean, Pepin, right, was in
Right.
1990 93. Okay. Pepin, right? Today, that's a revered blend. The whole My Father Cigar Company, huge now, right? But back then, it was just this small company, right? Fuente existed, all right? So Fuente was always on the shelf, right? But that was big when my father came out. That was just everybody gravitated to it. And then aficionado. So aficionado created it too. They also helped make that boom happen because suddenly people are opening up this magazine and finding all these cigars and they're searching for them on shelves and shops.
Right.
But we didn't have as many lounges, right? They were just like the cigar shop was in the mall,
Yeah, I
right?
didn't even think about that. That is a good,
You
like,
walked into a
lounges.
cigar shop in the mall. You didn't sit down there and smoke it. You bought the product and you went out home or whatever and smoked it. Or you went to a local liquor store. They had them, right? You would go to. There was a little guy that had a curiosity shop in town, right? That sold cigars. He was Greek. His family they called his last name was Vlas. So it's the Vlas family. And then they opened up a shop, right? And that was wow. There's a shop that opened. Then there was another shop that opened up, and all of this stuff started happening through the 90s. And then there was a friend of mine he was Cuban. He owned a Cuban sandwich shop in town, and he had his own cigars in this shop. He hand rolled his own, and he had a little outhouse on his property at his house where he would sit in there and roll cigars. And I would go over there after work, and I would sit with him, and he taught me everything about cigars, about rolling, about how leaf works, how leaf tastes, how to do this. Just day after day, he would just teach me. He took me under his wing and he showed me how to roll cigars and how to tell. Like one of the most magical thing I ever remember is he took a leaf, he deveined the leaf, and he holds the leaf up like this, right? And he takes this leaf and he turns it upside down. He says, "I'm going to show you something." And he takes this one leaf, he lights it, and the leaf starts burning like this up the vein structure. He
Hmm.
takes the one that he flipped around and he lights it, it burns, and it stops. And he goes, what do you think happens if you put that leaf in the wrong way in a cigar?
Yep.
He says, you got to know. And these are things that you don't necessarily think about, but the guys that know. You know, he never used a cutter, right? He had a
I
long
oh
thumbnail
thumbnail. Okay.
to take the cap off, or he would take and just nip just the side of the head of the cigar, just a little nip out of it. And he says, try this, do it. And he goes, all that smoke will concentrate through that tiny little hole, right? And it's gonna be me. It's like, and I do that once in a while, but most of the time I'm a straight cut guy. I don't believe in V cuts. I don't believe in. I've done punches, but I don't like the way it feels on my tongue. I don't like the way V cuts feel on my tongue.
That's
So
weird because I was always straight cut. Like when I would V cut for years, I don't like the V cut. I did early videos on TikTok, whatever, when I was
yeah.
young and dumb and or young in my, as far as the industry and like V cut, man, I'm just not into V cut. It seems like it does. Now that's almost all I do is V cut. I don't know why. I just do. Punch, I've probably done it maybe 6 times. But I know this is for me, but I'm having fun, Jimmy. I'm having fun. This is really fun for me. Uh
Well, it is getting late. We've been on for over 2 hours. I do have to get in and walk the dog because I hear him scratching on the door. My wife's going to start sending me the text telling me that the dog's getting antsy.
well,
Um,
let me if I can, let me finish if I can get to the
yeah.
point I was trying. All of that, everything that's gone on, and you've seen this and this and that. So what I see, and I'll give you my opinion, and you can give me your opinion. I think that the big guys are maybe taking a look at us craft blend guys. If you look at it, and they're thinking, okay, overall they're looking at numbers as far as what they sell, and if it's they're selling, they're selling. But do you think that I mean, let me just say it this way. Do you think they're looking at the craft blend and maybe thinking about, what's this with this craft blend stuff? Because this stuff is really blowing up and I don't see it going
So,
away. But it is
so
about
here's what
sustainability of
happens,
tobacco.
right? If you've seen the history of where things have gone over the last 15 plus years, right? The big companies, especially General, as an example, has gone off and purchased and bought out some of these smaller companies. Like,
Right, right,
give you an
right,
example, Tarano, right? Tarano, I love Tarano cigars back in the day. They were awesome cigars, right? I love the family. I love the way they did business. General bought them, and they killed the brand, right? It's a business model, right? If I can get you off the map, that's
right,
that many more cigars that I can sell that
right.
because people aren't buying your cigar anymore because it doesn't exist. So I do believe that there's a business model that says, purchase and possibly roll it into yours and you get that revenue because it's coming to you, or just kill it
Right.
and you don't have to worry about that brand anymore competing with you. Right. So I think that's happening and has been and will probably continue to happen because that's just the nature of business. Right. Um, I don't know if they're as much concerned about it because with the other side, as far as competition at the level of like pricing. We did the whole show on
Right.
pricing
Yeah.
the other week,
Right.
right? So when you're if you're in a small craft business and you can keep your prices between $12 and $14, right? There is a huge market for that because you're appealing to the blue collar worker, the person that doesn't have the 30, 40, $50 to pay for some of these cigars. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not going to say that a Davidoff Maduro, it's like $50, right? Nothing wrong with the cigar. It's a phenomenal cigar. Don't get me wrong. It's a great cigar.
I
All
love
right.
Millennium, by the way.
Um, but how many people are going to buy that? So there's a luxury. You're into what I would call a super premium luxury market where you guys are in a craft market and appealing to people that are enthusiasts, blue collar workers that have to worry about that, managing cigars and food on the table and paying the bills,
Mhm.
right? So as long as you're keeping the numbers where they got to be, and it's what we would consider wallet friendly, and it's a good cigar, people are going to gravitate to it because it's there. Now, if you go up, like I'll just say, if you went to $18,
Yeah.
that ain't going to work because on that shelf are $18 cigars. Now you're moving into areas where you have people that are brand loyal.
Yep.
And they're like, I know this cigar, it's $18. I know this brand, it's 18, 20, 20. If I smoke Padrones, I know I can get those Padrones for $24. Okay. I smoke Padrones, I love Padrones, and that's what I'm going to smoke. Now, if you have a cigar on a shelf and you're a shop owner and it's a $22 cigar and it's a no-name cigar to the individual, they're gonna be
Yeah.
like, why am I going to even test that? I know what I'm getting here. I don't know you. But
Yep.
if you're down at 14 and they're like, wow, I'll try the 14. And all of a sudden they're like, I'll buy another one. Maybe I'll buy a box of these, let them age a little, see how they do. And blah, blah. Before you know it, you're winning
Yep.
customers.
And at the end of the day, that's why we're doing what we do. We do what we do as far as podcasts and smoke cigars, talk about cigars because we enjoy it. But really what we're doing is we're just trying to educate folks. Education. Try to
That's it.
understand the whole thing,
That's
right?
what that's the main job that we have is promoting and educating people about this. Oh, by the way, this is now 2 hours.
I like it that you nubbed it.
This is how many box press cigars you smoking for 2 hours. Anyway, I'm going to give you the last word because the dog is now in the lounge.
Hey, man, I just, I appreciate any support. It was great. It's great talking to you. I could sit here and talk to you for hours, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
And I'll even say, and I'll even add this, as we kind of brought up with politics and religion. I know that you and I are on two totally different spectrums when it comes to that, but that's more proof that a cigar
That's right.
can bring people together because you find that commonality and just smoke a cigar, relax, don't get caught up in all that stuff. Just let's get back to humanism and things like that and just let's have a conversation
I
and
love
just
it.
talk about the things that we enjoy because we're all people, we're all humans, and we got to share what we share. We can all have our different opinions and things like that, but I just think that, uh, that's the gist of it. Just smoke good cigars, man. Smoke what you enjoy. What makes you happy. There's a
That's correct.
lot of cigars out there and I
Yep.
love smoking all cigars, all of them. I love them.
There you go.
They're
All right,
delicious.
Randy. Um, Thank you again for joining and spending the time. I want to thank all the sponsors for sponsoring the show and all the viewers now and in the future. This show will be archived on the Stogie Press YouTube channel next week. So you can, once it gets out there, I'll send you the link and you can push
Nice.
it out however you want. And we'll have fun. And I'm going to catch you on trail again.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on, Jimmy.
Yeah, when
Appreciate
you
it.
come over to his and hers, let me know.
Yes, sir.
Make
Appreciate
sure
it.
my wife maybe have you over for dinner.
All right. Hey, we can do that. Thanks you,
All
man.
right. He's whining now. Come here, come here, come here, come here. You got to
Let me
make
see
yourself
what kind of dog.
known.
Oh, what kind of dog is it?
This is American Cocker Spaniel.
Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah, his name is Ziggy. Ziggy
Zig-
Stardust.
Ziggy Stardust.
Yep,
Oh,
he's a good
dogs.
boy. 10
I
years
have
old, doing
I have
good.
three schnauzers, so there you go.
All right, all right. Oh, yes, I know we got to go. I know.
Cheers.
All right, man. Randy, it's been a pleasure.
Same.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right,
Let me
brother.
just